Chris, did you ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JVT. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, So
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome to Big B Daily. Appreciate it. Look, we're not live today, obviously. This is Friday. I said I was out of town, so I wanted to continue to bring shows to you guys Monday through Friday, like I said I always would. So I'm recording this one a little bit early. Still got some fun topics. I appreciate you guys being here. Look, here's the deal. As always, man, like I said, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily comes on. If you appreciate what we are doing, thank you, number one, for showing up. Number two, if you want to help support, you know how you can do it. Super chats, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff to help support the channel. We appreciate that. All those things you can find. There's links in the bio to do different things. We appreciate all the support. So let's get down to brass tacks here. So, number one, are the Nuggets, are they a lock for the finals? I mean, is anybody in the West really going to challenge them? Now, look, I know Minnesota is going to get Karl Anthony Towns back. He's coming back. They've been a really good defensive team all year. But they don't have a whole lot of playoff experience, especially winning experience. So that's number one. Second team, Oklahoma Thunder, or Oklahoma City Thunder. They have no playoff experience. They are young. I think playoff experience matters. It's the playoffs are a different deal. They're just a completely different deal than the regular season. And Oklahoma City, young, vibrant, exciting, but just no experience at all. I think that comes into play. I think it's going to become an issue. I'm not sure if they're even going to make the conference finals. Same with Minnesota. Now, those three are still battling it out, like I said, along with the Nuggets, to see who gets that number one spot. I think the Nuggets eventually are going to get that number one spot. My thing is, do they care? Yeah, I kind of think they do. I think that having home court throughout the Western Conference of the playoffs, I think that's a deal. I think that is a deal. Big deal, actually. So I think they want it. And I think they're going to do enough here down the stretch to be able to get that accomplished. So I like the Nuggets. I like for them to earn that number one spot. Now, can anybody challenge them? Like I said, Minnesota, possibly. Oklahoma City, I don't think so. Then who else do we have? Okay, there's the Clippers. The Clippers, if healthy, I still think are very dangerous. Now, they have not played well at all the last month and a half here. They went on a stretch where they were 29-4, and then they have hit the skids the last 6 weeks of the season. Nobody's gotten hurt, because that's usually a thing with the Clippers, that somebody gets hurt. That hasn't happened, other than Westbrook broke his hand, but Westbrook was giving you about 18 minutes a night. So it wasn't Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden. It wasn't those three. So, I like the Clippers. I still think they can get it turned around. Tyronn Lue is a great coach, but I got to see him stay healthy in the playoffs. Stay healthy, because even the Clippers, they even start the season or start the playoffs healthy, and then they end up getting hurt. So they got to continue. If they can stay healthy, I think the Clippers are as dangerous as any team in the West. I really believe that. But that's a big if. I know you're thinking, oh, man, you're talking about injuries. You know, people don't usually get hurt. Yeah, the Clippers do. They get hurt a lot. But if healthy, I think they can do some damage. Next, you've got Dallas. Look, it's no secret the Mavs don't play any defense. They don't. They'll try to beat you 148 to 145, and they won't mind doing that at all. Kyrie and Luka have been playing outstanding basketball. If Tim Hardaway Jr. is making shots, Dallas is about as dangerous as anybody out there. But again, trying to outscore people in the playoffs, you might win the round. Maybe you can win two, but when you play somebody that is going to defend you and you won't defend them, that's when you get beat. You know, and if they end up as the number 4 or 5 seed, which it looks like it's going to be one of the two, if they get out of that first round and Denver's waiting for them, they're not getting past that round. They're just not. So they should hope that Denver gets a 2 or a 3 seed. So Dallas doesn't have to play them until the conference finals. But if they do have to play them in the conference finals, they're not beating them. They're not beating the Nuggets. Not enough defense. We love Luka. We love Kyrie. Luka is borderline MVP, if not the MVP. Now, he's not going to win it, but I think he's got to be in the top 2 or 3 of that voting. I mean, what he's doing this year, incredible. What, 34, 10, and 9 on 49% shooting? Come on, people. Come on, people. And Luka's not, now granted, he shoots a lot of layups, but he ain't just shooting layups. That step back 3 is a monster. And Kyrie's been playing great basketball too. Playing great basketball. So we'll see. The one thing about it, though, if they get it going, you're going to have to bring your A game to beat them. Now, the Nuggets usually bring their A game, especially in the playoffs, but you never know. You never know. Now, it gets tricky the rest of the way. So right now, the Phoenix Suns are sitting at 6. They have the toughest schedule remaining. I mean, I looked this up the other day, and I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, their schedule is just brutal the last 3 games, because I believe it starts tonight. They got the Clippers. Let's see who they got left here. Yeah, they have the Clippers, the Kings, and the Timberwolves. Woo! Now that's tough. Because, again, we just talked about the Clippers. Now, the Clippers might be resting guys because they're either going to be the 4 or the 5 seed, and that's it. It's not going to change. They're not going to go to 3. They're not going to go to 6. They're the 4 or the 5. But then you got the Kings. The Kings are fighting for a position. Now, they're in the play-in, but they're trying to get to 6. And they can get to 6. So they're going to be playing. I mean, that's a gigantic basketball game coming up on the 12th, which I believe is Sunday. No, it's Friday. Ooh. So, yeah, it's Friday. So there's a lot going on. And then after that, they got the Timberwolves, who, again, are battling to get a number 1 seed. So if it hasn't been decided, that last game is going to mean something to Minnesota. Because they want to get the number 1 seed. So if it hasn't been decided, Minnesota's going to be playing. That's a tough stretch. And Phoenix, again, look, Bradley Beal, we like Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal has been a shell of himself, to say the least. a shell of himself, to say the least. And they haven't been healthy all year. If they could all just be healthy, the Suns might have something. Durant is still being Durant. He's still the leading scorer of the team. I know people think it's Devin Booker. It's not. It's still Durant. He's still out there being his efficient self. So hopefully they can be healthy and we can see. But the six, I don't know, man. I'm not sure about Phoenix. That schedule down the stretch is tough. It's tough. Now it even gets even dicier when we start talking about, the 7, 8, and 9. So out west, it's Sacramento, the Lakers, and Golden State. Well, we just saw Golden State beat the Lakers. Okay, now the Lakers, they were without Anthony Davis, and Golden State made 26 threes. Okay, Lord have mercy. If they shoot and they're going to make 26 threes a night, they're going to beat everybody. I don't care. If Draymond Green at one point in that game was 5 for 5 from three-point range. If that's what's going to happen, Golden State's going to win another title. But I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to guarantee this, that Draymond is not going to be going 5 for 5 from three-point range in a game again. I'm fairly confident of that. But they only sit a half game behind the Lakers for the 9 seed. And the Lakers only sit a half game behind Sacramento for the 8 seed. 7 is Phoenix. Yeah, that's right. The Pelicans moved into 6. My mistake, people. The Pelicans moved into 6. Yeah. So the Pelicans are at 6. Phoenix is at 7. Sacramento 8. The Lakers. There's a possibility the Lakers don't make the playoffs. Now, I know what people are going to say. Oh, there's no way the refs are going to leave LeBron out. Hey, man, if they look at these teams. Now, I think they're better than the Pelicans. So I think in a one game to get into the playoffs, they would beat the Pelicans. That's who the Lakers want to play. The Lakers want no part of Phoenix. They want no part of Sacramento. And they don't want any part of Golden State. Now, you could say they can beat all of them if Anthony Davis can play, except for Sacramento. Because let me remind you, Anthony Davis has never beaten Sabonis in his entire career. Not once. Not once has he beaten him. So while you think, oh, well, the Lakers could match, hold on. Sacramento's not the team they want to play. Again, Anthony Davis has never beat that man. So that's a problem. They just lost to Golden State. I think they match up better with Golden State. If Anthony Davis is playing, I think they can beat Golden State. Phoenix would give them a problem. So we'll see. We'll see. And again, the 6th spot that the Pelicans have isn't locked up because there's 3 games between Golden State and the Pelicans. Everybody's got 3 games left. Roll the dice. Having said that, my money would be on Denver to still get out of the West. My money is on Denver to get out of the West. Jokic is still doing his thing. That team, that system, that coach, I think all of it, when you boil it all together, I just think they are the best team out West. And I think they're going to eventually come out of the West. Whether they're the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or even the 3 seed, they're getting out of the West. I think it'll be interesting basketball. I think some teams might be able to give them a little bit of run for your money. But can Golden State? No. They can't. I think Phoenix might give them the most trouble. Minnesota, maybe. Rudy's going to have to play. Rudy would have to play. So maybe. The Lakers can't beat the Nuggets. Dallas can't beat the Nuggets. The Clippers can. The Clippers can. So my money's on the Nuggets, but I am very excited to see what happens down the stretch and into the playoffs. It's going to be a real good NBA playoffs, people. Real good, at least on the Western Conference side. We'll talk another day about the Eastern Conference. Lord have mercy. Just looking at the East, One game in the West, just to give you how bad it is. In the West, Minnesota's the top seed, and the last seed is Golden State at number 10 of the play-in. They're 11 games back. In the East, Boston is first. Second place is Milwaukee. They're 14 games back. That should tell you everything you need to know about the East. Just pathetic basketball going on right over there, man. Just pathetic. But let's move on. As I mentioned before, man, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, Big B Daily live on TikTok or on YouTube. We appreciate everybody coming in. We appreciate everybody's support. Now, let's take it to the New York Jets. The Jets, the Jets. The Jets are a team that if we're just being honest and everybody is healthy, we're starting out this, everybody's healthy, shouldn't the Jets be the favorite to win the AFC East? I mean, just if you look at roster for roster, shouldn't they be the favorite? I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers. Now, whether you think Aaron Rodgers is healthy or not, well, they're going to assume that he is. So you have him at quarterback, okay? You got Breece Hall at running back, a rebuilt offensive line anchored now by Tyron Smith, who, yes, before you say it, I get it. 37 games in 4 years that he's missed. He missed 4 games last year, which is a low for him over the last 4 or 5 years, but he was still a second-team All-Pro last year. Not 5 years ago. Last year, he was a second-team All-Pro. He's still getting it done on the left side, anchoring the left side of that line. And he's going to do the same for the Jets as long as he's healthy. Mike Williams. Now, look, we all know the injury bug that Mike Williams has. But again, if he's healthy, that's a good 1-2 punch with Garrett Wilson on one side, Mike Williams on the other. A rebuilt offensive line, like I mentioned before, Tyron Smith, they got new guards. And look, the Jets' offense is better. It's better. It's ready to take off. And then their defense is what it is. It is what it is. I think the Jets should be the favorite. Look at Buffalo. You got Josh Allen. Look, you can say whatever you want about Diggs. The man had 107 catches for 1,100 yards last year. Now, you could say the last 7 games he didn't do much. You would be right. You would be right. But he was still there. He still had to be accounted for. And a lot of those teams that were accounting for him were doubling him. So we'll see how it works out without Diggs. We'll see. Look, Miami, their offense is still really good. Their offensive line, to me, is still smoke and mirrors. And a lot of guys got hurt. But okay. Their defense got worse. The Dolphins fans are telling you that Christian Wilkins didn't help them, that they were, he can go. He didn't do anything. They don't give that kind of money to people that aren't any good. Okay? So Dolphins fans, you got to stop that. You got to stop. I don't care what you say. They're not throwing out money to guys, that type of money, to somebody who's average. Okay? I'm not saying people don't leave for free agency, but not for that kind of money. Not for that kind of money at all. He's just the 3rd highest defensive player in the league. They're not giving you that unless you can do damage. And Christian Wilkins is that guy. We'll see how it works out in Oakland. But their defense got worse. Period. End of story. The 2-time Super Bowl champs decided to keep their defensive lineman that's a game wrecker because he has to be accounted for on every snap that he's in there. The Dolphins chose, nope, we don't want that guy. We think we can get production somewhere else. All because you're paying the quarterback, a receiver, you're going to pay another receiver. Not the way to go, man. You got to have a game wrecker, and you gave one away. So maybe you can draft another guy, hopefully. But is he going to be Wilkins? Probably not. So the Dolphins got worse. And then the Patriots are the Patriots. They're a mess. They're an absolute, they can't be considered serious at this point. So I think the Jets should be the favorite. Now, again, they got to stay healthy. And that's a huge if. I don't want you to think I'm just trying to gloss over injury, because I'm not. That is a huge if. And it's a big deal. So we'll see what happens. But I like the Jets. I like what they're doing. And if they can stay healthy, they got a chance. They got a chance. Heck, they even upgraded with Tyron Taylor as the backup quarterback. Now, I don't know if they're talking about they're going to trade Zach. Well, who is going to trade for Zach Wilson? I mean, nobody's going to trade for him. I mean, nobody is going to trade for him. So, but it is what it is. That's okay. You don't have to trade for him. They'll just cut him. But they upgraded. They upgraded where they needed to upgrade. They upgraded where they needed to upgrade. I think now, here's the thing, though. If the Jets don't win, and I think they got to win the division, not just make the playoffs. I think they got to win the division, or they got to win a playoff game. If not, doesn't the coach got to go? I mean, at some point, it's put up or shut up. And if everybody stays healthy and then they can't just get it done, well, somebody's got to go. And I thought Robert Saleh would be gone after this year. But I think they looked at it and said, look, you can't blame everything on the coach, which I agree with. You can't blame everything on the coach when guys get hurt. If their play is bad, and you're not motivating, you can't get the best out of them, that's something else. But when guys get hurt, especially the quarterback, and you didn't address the backup quarterback situation, it is what it is. So this is make or break for Robert Saleh. And even if a bunch of guys get hurt this year, I don't think it's going to matter. You either win or he'll be gone. It's just that simple. But I think you got to have the Jets in as at least making the playoffs this year. I think you at least got to have them do that. But I think they should be the favorites to win this division. Let's move on. Last segment. Every Friday we have been doing a top 5 position players. And a lot of people, come on, B, why don't you do top 10? First of all, any list is always subjective. That's number one. Any list that you do is always going to be subjective. So if every list is subjective, then we might as well do a top 5 list and just keep it short, keep it simple. Because once you get to 6 through 10, it becomes difficult. So let's just keep it subjective. So today, we are doing tight ends. We're doing tight ends. We've been switching on and off, offense, defense. So today we are doing tight ends. Going to go from number 5 to number 1. At number 5, I don't think this guy gets enough love. Now, he wasn't a great blocker, but they didn't need him to block. They had another tight end to help block. Antonio Gates, number 5. He wasn't fast. He wasn't quick. He had sudden movements, but whatever Antonio Gates did, he was getting open and he was catching that football. It's incredible. He's kind of like Jason Witten. Like Jason Witten wasn't running past anybody, but he was always open. He was always open. Antonio Gates was like Jason Witten, only on steroids. Then that's a pun. That is a pun. But yeah, Antonio Gates, always open, all those touchdowns and catches and yards. Now, again, he wasn't a great blocker. Otherwise, I'd have him higher on the list if he was. But he wasn't a great blocker. And because he wasn't, he's at 5. But I don't think he gets enough respect. I don't think Antonio Gates gets enough respect for how good he really is. But I have him as the number 5 all-time tight end. At number 4, Shay himself, Shannon Sharpe. When he retired, he had every tight end record that there was, receiving tight end record that there was. Again, and Shannon Sharpe will be the first to tell you, he wasn't a great blocker. He was a cutoff guy. Backside, he'll cut you down. Point of attack, he'd try to get in the way. Here's the thing to remember about Shannon Sharpe. He came into the pros as a receiver. That's what he started as a receiver. He was just bigger. And, I mean, if you see him now, you're like, oh, man, he was skinnier? Yeah, he was. And he's just a big dude. And so he came in as a receiver. So the blocking wasn't going to be there to begin with. but he did enough. But he revolutionized the position. Shannon Sharpe revolutionized the position. He did exactly what these guys are doing today. Antonio Gates, Travis Kelce, those guys, Tony Gonzalez, they took their cues from what Shannon Sharpe did. And teams started going to 22 personnel or 12 personnel, and having two tight ends on the field. And lo and behold, or 21 personnel, I should call it, not 12. And having two tight ends out on the field and going to work. One side and running zone scheme offense. One side, front side tight end. Shannon Sharpe would backside cut people off because he was quick, fast. He could get in your way. But when it came to receiving, he still has the all-time records, like 214 yards in a game for that. So that would be the second or the third best tight end of all time. Number 2, Tony Gonzalez. All right, take that back. He was fourth. Number 3, Jiminy Christmas. Been a long day. I apologize. 4th was Shannon Sharpe. Number 3 is Travis Kelce. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, you're crazy. He's the greatest receiving tight end ever. First of all, he's not. Or maybe he is. Let's just say Travis Kelce is the greatest receiving tight end ever. I'll give him that. But the blocking. Now, look, the reason I have him 3 on this list is because what he does is he's very good in the regular season, but he's even better in the playoffs. Travis Kelce is even better in the playoffs. He's got wiggle. He's got some speed for a tight end. He gets open. He catches the football. Outstanding is what this guy is. So again, I like what he's doing. I like Travis Kelce. Not a great blocker. He'd be higher on the list if he's a bad blocker. Let's just say that. He's not average. He's below average when it comes to blocking for a tight end. He's below average. And that's okay. That's okay. But as far as receiving, I think Travis Kelce is top of the line. He's top of the line. So, but the blocking, that's why I have him at number 3. Look, Kelce is outstanding, turns it up a notch in the playoffs. And I would be remiss if I didn't say he was the greatest tight end ever, as far as receiving wise, because I think that he is. But I have him at number 3. Number 2 is Tony Gonzalez. Look, Tony Gonzalez took what Shannon Sharpe did and added the blocking element to it. And he wasn't a great blocker to begin with. Tony Gonzalez was actually a bad blocker the first 2 years of his career. And they went to him and said, hey, man, you could be a Hall of Famer if you learn to block. He learned to block. Not only so much, he learned to block, and on the run schemes, he would be the front side tight end. That's how good he was when he as a blocker. But he was also dynamic when it came to catching the football. You could throw him the ball anywhere. His catch radius for a tight end was incredible. A former basketball player, had great hands, could jump, could run routes, got open quick, wiggle, was big, was physical. Tony Gonzalez is pretty much the prototype when you're talking about a tight end on what you would want. That's what you would want, is Tony Gonzalez. So very, very good. I like Tony Gonzalez a lot. Too bad he didn't play on good enough teams with good enough quarterbacks to be able to get to a Super Bowl. I thought he deserved that. But again, didn't play on good enough teams. He just didn't. Not good enough teams. Not good enough quarterbacks, especially with the Chiefs. Lord have mercy. I mean, Trent Green was pretty good for a couple of years, but then he had nothing that was throwing him the ball. Nothing. So it's kind of that. That's where we're looking at. But number 2, Tony Gonzalez. And number 1, Rob Gronkowski. Look, Gronk is the best tight end ever. Because, again, Gronk could do a lot of the stuff that Shannon Sharpe could do. He was big, 270 pounds, fast, had wiggle, was devastating once you got the ball in his hands. What hurt Gronk, he would have all these records that Kelce has receiving, except guys had to tackle him at his knees, and he kept getting hurt. Now, you can say Kelce doesn't get hurt. Okay, I get it. But look, Gronk was the guy. Let's just take receiving out of it for a second. His blocking was like an offensive tackle in the run game. I mean, he was a lead blocker in the run game. That's how good he was blocking. He wasn't a backside cutoff guy. He's leading blocking. He's pulling, leading people in the hole blocking. That's how good of a tight end he was. Dominant, physical, and he was athletic. You could throw him. How many times did you see on the goal line, they would split Gronk out? He'd be one-on-one, and they'd just throw it up to him, touchdown. How many times did you see him stand at the line of scrimmage, in line, right next to the tackle? They audible, I'm going to split out, run a quick slant, touchdown, or a fade to him. How many fades are they throwing to tight ends these days? And I'm not talking about a corner route. No. I'm talking about a fade that they're throwing to on the goal line. They did it all the time to Gronk. I know people love Kelce. I know they love Tony Gonzalez. Gronk was just better. That doesn't mean those other two aren't great. Doesn't mean those other two are not spectacular. But in this case, Gronk was just better. He was just better. He was the guy. So to recap, number 5, Antonio Gates. Number 4, Shannon Sharpe. Number 3, Travis Kelce. Number 2, Tony Gonzalez. Number 1, Rob Gronkowski. Now, here's also something to think about too, people. Travis Kelce's still playing. Travis Kelce has an opportunity to be the best. I take that back. I don't even think he can be the best because of his blocking. Now, he could pass Gonzalez, but I mean, his blocking is never going to be even what Gonzalez's is, and Gronk's blocking was out of the stratosphere for a tight end. So, as much as I love Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez and Gronk are better. He can pass Tony Gonzalez. He can do that, but he's not catching Gronk. Not in my opinion. Maybe in yours, I totally understand. It depends on what you want out of your tight end. For me, I love a tight end that can block, is going to be physical, and I love a tight end that's going to catch the football. That was what Gronk was. Hey, man, I appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, out of town, pre-recorded. Thank you guys for showing up like you always do. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily. You guys keep showing up. I'll keep pushing these things out, man. We're having fun. We're growing. Love you guys. Y'all have a good weekend, Goon Squad. I will holler at you guys later.